October 2007, Grozny, the capital of Chechnya. Fireworks mark the last day of Ramadan, the holy fasting month for Muslims. The Chechen Republic is in the south of Russia, around 2,000 kilometers away from Moscow. Kazbek and Снята Vakhayev got married in 2000 during the war in Chechnya. Снята was Kazbek's neighbour. Her house was destroyed by a bomb. Her husband's house was still standing. Luckily, no one expected to find such luck back then. There were days when the family had almost nothing to eat. People were afraid to go out for water. In order to survive, one had to disappear.
This right here was the only shelter from artillery and air attacks. We put a couple of beds and a stove here. Not only our family, but also our neighbors, children, and many others hid here. This room isn't the best accommodation, to say the least.
Tonight, meat dishes are being served in the Vakhayev's house. The family is celebrating the end of Ramadan and the beginning of Eid alFitr, a Muslim holiday. Kazbek's father, Sultan, is at the head of the table. Traditions are strictly observed in Chechnya. The Chechens think that traditions are the strength of the nation, a strength which helped them survive in terrible conditions, a strength which inspires people to rebuild the republic which was destroyed by war. Central Grozny looks like any other city in southern Russia. There is a difference, however. Here one can find a lot of new buildings, and the older ones have all been remodeled. After the family dinner, Kazbek, who is a photographer, goes to work. He is involved in a story on how Ramzan Kadyrov, the president of Chechnya, celebrates Eid alFitr. Ramzan Kadyrov lives in the village of Senteroy, 80 kilometers away from Grozny. His close relatives also live here. The president begins the celebrations at 4 in the morning. These members of the press will follow Ramzan all day long. The Chechen president has a lot of respect for the media. People traditionally start Eid alFitr by visiting the oldest members of their family. Abdul Hamid is Ramzan's grandfather and the father of the first president of Chechnya, Ahmad Haji Kadyrov. Respect for one's elders is a governing rule in the Chechen community. No matter what the status of a younger family member is, the elders still hold a higher position. Even the president is just a grandson when his grandfather is nearby. After heartfelt greetings, they say the first morning prayer in the family mosque. The next step in celebrating Eid alFitr is just as important for Muslims as prayer. Ramzan Kadyrov, along with his grandfather, puts some grain into a bucket for orphans and the needy. Of course, one bucket of grain is not enough. This is only a symbol. But 150 of the poorest Chechen families will receive financial aid on Eid alFitr. A 20-minute ritual prayer is said before meals. It's called dikar and is practiced for the purpose of glorifying God and achieving spiritual perfection. Ramzan's father, Ahmad Haji, was a religious person and craved the ceremony called dikar. He is buried here in Sentaroy at the local cemetery. This is where his son Ramzan and other relatives come at dawn, right after the celebration breakfast. They pray and pay their respects to him, someone who believed in a peaceful Chechnya. But Ahmad Haji Kadyrov hasn't always chosen peaceful negotiations. From 1994 to 1996, he took part in military operations against the federal forces as a member of the Chechen militants. As the new spiritual leader of Chechnya, Kadyrov declared a jihad or sacred war against Russia. He dreamt of a free and independent fatherland. After the First Chechen War, Ahmad Kadyrov started to have disagreements with the republic's government. Mufti Kadyrov opposed Wahhabism, but at that time the position of local and alien Wahhabis in Chechnya had been significantly strengthened. Bandits from different countries carried out kidnappings and distributed the country's oil supplies between themselves. In August 1999, Shamil Basayev, the leader of the Chechen separatist movement, and Emir Katab, a Muslim guerrilla fighter, invaded Dagestan with their troops. Ahmad Kadyrov refused to take part in this new war against Russia and declared several regions of Chechnya and Wahhabism-free zones. In October 1999, the Chechen president Aslan Maskhadov signed a decree dismissing Kadyrov from the position of Supreme Mufti of Chechnya. He declared Mufti as the enemy of the Chechen nation who had to be annihilated. In 2000, the Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree appointing the Supreme Mufti of Chechnya, Ahmad Kadyrov, as the head of the temporary administration of the Chechen Republic. And 3 years later, he was elected as the Chechen president. There were around 20 assassination attempts on Ahmad Haji Kadyrov's life. Many of his relatives and associates died. It seemed impossible to kill the man who was determined to reconcile his nation with Russia. But on May the 9th, 2004, he was killed by terrorists during a military parade on Victory Day. This is what most of the buildings in Grozny looked like at the time of Ahmad Haji Kadyrov's assassination. He didn't finish rebuilding the capital of his native land. Nowadays, banners carrying images of the first president of Chechnya can be seen in the newly rebuilt Grozny. Life is gradually getting back to normal. Streets and squares, schools and universities have been named after Ahmad Haji. A play about him was staged by a local theatre. For many Chechens, Ahmad Haji Kadyrov is the elder who is still with his nation even after death. In the play, there are many characters from recent Chechen history. Enemies and allies of Ahmad Kadyrov, for example, the ex-Chechen leader Zohar Dudayev. Ruslan Hakishev is the director of the play. He hopes his production will have a long shelf life, and 10 to 20 years on, it will be just as relevant.
This play is about the man who in times of crisis and national tragedy was able to work on his own personal development, as well as find the wisdom and the strength necessary to lead the nation out of a raging war.
The Chechen Drama Theatre doesn't have its own stage yet. The theatre building was severely damaged during the war. The performances are held in different places. The play about Ahmad Haji Kadyrov encouraged the authorities to start restoring the theatre building. The large hall and stage are yet to be remodelled.
Last year, as soon as Ramzan Kadyrov came to the theatre project, he ordered the work to start. Almost everything is rebuilt now. There's just this small section left, but it's the most important area.
Chechnya looks like one big construction site now. If one now wants to find an area of Grozny in ruins, one would have to travel out of the city centre. The photographer, Kazbek Vakhayev, is going to one district which is still in a state of disrepair to take some pictures. This is not Kazbek's first time here. These people living in the ruins like him and don't run and hide from the camera. They hope that after these pictures are published in newspapers and magazines, they will be noticed and hope will come. But even though life is very difficult, the residents in these buildings keep smiling. They say, compared to what it was like before, the present problems are manageable. That day, Kazbek went to a certain area to gather material for a German photo agency. The topic is the reaction of low-income Chechen residents to the live question and answer session with President Putin. This is the best apartment in the building. By local standards, the television here is luxurious.
First of all, good afternoon. I'll begin to answer your questions immediately.
There are only 2 televisions in the building. Kazbek is going to another apartment where people have gathered to watch the president. They have come to Grozny from the mountains in the Chechen Republic to make money. Most of them try to get jobs on building sites. Ruslan Abdullayev is 19 years old and has 2 children. He doesn't have a permanent job. Ruslan couldn't come up with any questions for the president.
We work here to survive. I have 2 children, all boys. I go out to the street, find some work to do, and that's enough to feed my family for 2 or 3 days. Everything will be okay if my health doesn't fail me. That's the main thing. What else can I say? We're hoping for the best.
Musa Karnukayev is a local elder. He is 54 years old. He has a large family, 6 children and 2 granddaughters. Musa is physically challenged, so he receives a pension, which he is using to develop his own business, a small shop. He is not happy with the taxes. The state makes him pay without taking his poverty into account.
Have you ever seen a kiosk like this? No funds to improve anything. Here is my little daughter, the youngest one.